he called his insurance company and said that the driver was trying to kidnap him and murder him because they were going a different way. So just knowing what your patients have going on, that can help.
Welcome to NEMT Expert Talks. I'm Bambi CEO Nirav Chheda, and I am here with a very special guest today, the one and only That NEMT Girl, also known as Taya Miles. Taya, how you hanging?
I am doing great, Nirav. Thank you for that intro. I appreciate that.
Well, you're going to do more of an intro of yourself than I am. You're popularly known online as That NEMT Girl. And today we're going to dig into the story of how you came to be That NEMT Girl. And Taya, you've got a number of stories, you've put them out for the world to see. I want to focus on the story of how you built this NEMT community online, this huge following, and how you came to be that NEMT girl who helps other startup NEMT businesses become legit NEMT businesses. I'll let you do a quick intro of yourself and then let's dive in.
Absolutely. So I have to say, I started my NEMT business this year. Will make 5 years that we've been in business. And I just have to thank God for that. They always say, if you don't make it the first 5 years, then, your business is going to fail, or most businesses fail within the first 5 years. So I'm thankful for all of the hoops and hurdles that I have been able to go through. And because of those hoops and hurdles, that's what brought me to bring on That NEMT Girl. It was probably my 3rd year that it was the most frustrating. And there were a lot of things that were being put out there. NEMT is a very niche field. And so there's a lot of information that can be misinformed. It's by state. Every state is different. And so when you're in these groups and you are, doing your research and you're on YouTube or you're on Google, you're just getting all of it. And you don't know how to filter or use discernment to know what is right and what is wrong. And so I was getting very frustrated, and I could see other providers or other newbies being frustrated. And so I wanted to share the real, not the fluff, not the things that you see online in terms of NEMT, but the real deal of how this works. And also, a lot of people are leaving their 9-to-5s. They didn't start their career knowing that, hey, I'm going to be an NEMT business owner. They are coming from other fields and they're putting a lot on the line. So it really depends on what your vision is for your life, not just with this business, but with going forward. This can be the catalyst to start other businesses within the realm of medical auxiliary fields, such as DME, uniforms, consulting. Hello. So it just depends, what your vision is. And so I wanted to share that with people because of my other stories of my life. I just feel that it's really important for us to own something before we leave here, right? We are taught to go to school and go to college and get a good job. Yeah, that sounds good. But then you have all these student loans and you realize that your job is not going to pay what you need it to pay to live the life that you want. So you take another direction. And so ownership is something that I preach to everyone, that I strive to instill in everyone, whether it's a friend, a family member, a niece, a cousin, whoever, I think that it's very important that we do instill that in the next generation or those behind us coming up. So That NEMT Girl was birthed. And so I really, and to be honest with you, Nirav, I've told you this, I didn't have a vision of I'm going to be the NEMT consultant of the industry. No, I simply just wanted to give people the real. And I think that my energy and my message and delivery has been received very well by a lot of people. And that's what's made the group take off and has allowed people to feel open with coming to me for their questions or for tips for the NEMT industry. And I don't take that lightly. And it's funny because I actually went to school to be a teacher. And so I'm not a teacher at all, but it also coincides with what I'm doing with That NEMT Girl, because ultimately I'm still teaching every day.
I love it. I love it. So, quick timeline. About 5 years ago, you started your NEMT business under the name Lelia's Enterprise in Georgia. You started running your NEMT business for a few years. Then you started realizing, hey, other people are asking me about tips on how to do this and that in NEMT. And then you started your online community under the name That NEMT Girl. And now you have a pretty sizable number of members in your Facebook groups and other Facebook channels. And now people are just actively coming to your channel and to you with all sorts of questions related to how do I start an NEMT business? How do I sustain my NEMT business? I just love to dig into the first part of that story, and then let's go to your online community.
Yeah. So what exactly of the first part?
Right, because there's a first part before the first part where you started your NEMT business.
Exactly. So which part would you like to dive into, Nirav?
Let's leave that story aside. Let's start with the NEMT business itself. About 5 years ago in Georgia, you start this business under Lelia's Enterprise. Let's start the story from there.
Yes. So I was working as a property manager for a senior citizen apartment complex, and a lot of our residents were sitting downstairs for a long period of time waiting for rides. And I would ask them, like, what are you waiting for? And they would say with the most frustrated tone ever, my ride, my ride. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I would sit in my office and I would see vans come, and they would have, like, it would be a caravan. They would have the wheelchair ramp attached to it. And I'm like, okay, I could probably do this. And then one day I saw one that said NEMT, and I'm like, what is NEMT? And I hated my job at the time. I had just relocated from Baltimore down to Atlanta, and I had took over this distressed property, which is the lingo in property management terms, meaning that all the paperwork was wrong. There was all the outstanding invoices were not paid. Accounts vendors had stopped coming to the property to service it because they had not gotten paid. So there was a lot of things that needed to be caught up, and I couldn't do all of that by myself. And I say by myself because I didn't have an assistant property manager. I had no leasing consultant. There was just me and my maintenance guy. And I'm like, okay. So I would literally take my time, and I hate to say this, but I know there are other people out there that do this as well, but I would take my time at work to research what is NEMT. And so I'm like, okay, non-emergency medical transportation. So I really just would do research at work on the clock. I started saving money again for my business because before I relocated, I was saving money to start a vending machine business in Baltimore. And when that didn't work out, I took that money and relocated. So I had to start fresh with my pot of savings for a business. I knew I wanted to start a business. I just didn't know what kind of business. And so once I got into researching with NEMT, I said, I think I want to go this direction. And well, fast forward a few months later, I got fired from that job because the paperwork wasn't getting done because I hated it. I didn't want to do it. So the paperwork wasn't getting done. I was taking all of my time and I was studying what is NEMT on the clock. I don't recommend that anyone does that. But hey, at the time, I was a free spirit. Okay. So I got fired from my job, and I took that as a sign to start the business. And so I literally just jumped into it. I bought a 15-passenger Sprinter van. I started posting my flyers around senior citizen communities and senior centers, and I wasn't really getting a lot of traction. I was literally just making enough money to cover the car note and the car insurance. And so I didn't know how to get the contracts. Fast forward 9 months later, after I actually started the business, I met a woman here in Atlanta, and she had been in the industry for about 8 years at that point. And so we had helped each other out with some business because she needed some funding. And I said, oh, I know how you can get funding. And so we helped each other out. She said, well, I know how you can get contracts. And we went from there. And so I learned a lot from her. We had parted ways probably about maybe 6 months of us working together. And from there, I learned a lot of things the hard way because I was still very new in the business, so I'm just doing my research, learning as I go, trial and error. And the trial and error is the hoops and hurdles that brought me to that NEMT girl. Because I'm like, listen, I don't want you all to waste the amount of money that I have wasted. I don't want you all to waste the amount of time that I have wasted. Don't do this. If someone could have told me not to go around all of Atlanta and Metro Atlanta posting my flyers and printing things off, that did not do anything, So it sounds good in theory, but it really didn't do much for me. If someone could have told me not to buy the 15-passenger Sprinter van, buy a wheelchair caravan, I would have did that, And so it was just different things coming into the industry that really I felt weren't being disclosed with the sincerity that we needed in terms of being successful for this industry financially, because the profit margins aren't that big. They can be depending on how you set your business up. But if you don't know how to set it up that way, then your profit margins aren't going to be that big. So you need someone to kind of give you the game and the playbook on how to get the things going, and so that was me.
The playbook. That's what people need. Okay, so give me these quick stats on your online community now. You've got a Facebook group with how many members, and not just limited to people in Georgia at all. You've got other social media channels. Tell me about the online communities that you have under that NEMT Girl.
Yeah, so Nirav, honestly, I would say Facebook and YouTube are my biggest platforms. The Facebook group, we're at 2,000 members. And I'm like, wow, okay. And literally, you're right. They're from all over. I'm actually working directly with clients in Washington, in Florida, in Mississippi. And it's great because, like I said, every state is different. So just to see and hear the feedback from these individuals of the research they have done and the direction they were thinking about going, I'm like, okay, I don't know. So let's bring it back to the board because I don't think you want to go that way. It's been really good. And it's also fueled a fire in me because, again, I still run my business full time. So it gives me different ideas and things that I didn't think about or may want to implement with my team. And so I think it's a great way to just stay fresh on your toes. So with Facebook, like I said, we have 2,000 members in the Facebook group. On YouTube, I'm at 850. I'm not really big on Instagram and TikTok. We've talked about this in Nirav. I have to get more consistent. But Instagram is 300 and TikTok, I literally just started that like 2 months ago, and we're at like 150. So TikTok and Instagram need some growing. So if you all see this, make sure you all follow me there at that NEMT Girl. It's the same handle on all platforms. But because I started off with YouTube and Facebook, those are my biggest platforms now. And it has grown a lot. And I'm very interactive. Like, I don't like to see people put out content for anything, if it's cooking, if it's fashion, whatever, and they're not consistent or interact with their following, like respond back or answer questions, because that's how you get people and, honestly get them to trust you with their questions and your insight.
Yeah. So like for me, let's say I'm an NEMT startup business owner. I'm one of the 2,000 members of your Facebook group. I go in that group and it's curated contents and questions. Like if there is any random posts about this or that aren't relevant, like you filter it out. Like you're really active in making sure that Facebook group is just full of relevant stuff and content for business owners. And it's not just you having to answer every question, right? Like you have a curated community where someone posts a question, there's a number of other people who can respond, and you're making sure that those answers are relevant. So tell me this, like you've got your social channels, I can ask questions, get answers, see your content on YouTube. Then there's this other piece of it where you are directly consulting NEMT business owners. Like they come to you and it's like a one-on-one thing. How does that work?
Yes. So that is my package called Business in a Box. And so with Business in a Box, it's essentially for people who are ready, not the fluff of, I have a few questions. No, you are ready to start your business and you need a coach or mentor to help you get into this industry. And so that is the Business in a Box package that I offer. And so with that, I get your business established. We make sure we walk through the vehicle purchasing process if you don't have one already. I also have a team for marketing for your website, for your logo designs, for your letterhead designs and business card designs. You get all of that in one. And you also essentially get approved with 2 brokers by the end of our process. So you come out the process with brokers ready to go. And I also preach private pay and broker. The reason why I have the two brokers included in the package, because let's be honest, when you first start off in this industry, you have to take the time to build up your private pay. And sometimes people who are investing into this business and this industry don't have the time it takes to see that return on their investment. So you do need the brokers to make sure that you have a consistent flow of clients coming in, and also while you're diversifying your financial portfolio for your business. So you definitely want to do private pay, and I will coach you through that and make sure you have all the materials to have your private pay marketing ready. But we're also going to make sure you have your broker pay, so you're seeing some return on your investment, because you're ultimately spending money to get your business going.
Makes sense. So let's say I'm thinking about starting an NEMT business. Like, what stage in the cycle is best for me to come to you? And I would assume it's right now, before I even start the business, when I'm just thinking like, hey, how do I even start, like from the point of like zero? Is that right?
Yes. So if you are just thinking about it, book a 15-minute consultation call with me. It's free. You can ask whatever questions that you want to ask surrounding the thinking about starting the business. If you want to know how much money you can make, if you want to know, should you leave your 9 to 5? Give me the real of what you currently have going on, and I can advise you on that. I don't say just come to me and say, hey, I want to do business in a box. Okay, well, I don't work with just anyone. I want to make sure that you're serious about getting in this industry, and that your time and your scheduling and your lifestyle right now is conducive with what you need to have going on to start this business. Some people are working 2 jobs and they don't want to leave their 2 jobs, but they also want to drive. Well, how's that going to work? Because at some point, you're going to have to leave one of the 2 jobs or both jobs, or hire someone to do that. And people don't really know what that looks like until you have that conversation with them. So I do offer that option, because 15 minutes, we can get a lot covered in that time. It seems short, but when you come ready with your questions, we can get a lot covered in that time, so you can know the direction in which you should go at that point. So if you're thinking about it, book the free call and we can talk about what you have going on.
Perfect. And in the description of this video, I'm leaving Taya's contact info, website, where you can directly reach out and book that 15-minute call. And Taya, now it's story time. Can you tell us some stories of clients that you've consulted for and the fun things that have ensued?
Yes. So fun things, lots of fun things, right? Now, in terms of, because right now we have some fun things going on. As we know, Dodge has discontinued the 5th generation Caravan. And so that's why the prices are pretty fair for those wheelchair vans right now, because some of the add-on equipment that you may need is not easily accessible. So the fun stuff is finding materials that you may need directly from the manufacturer. And again, that's not something that someone coming into the industry or a newbie would be able to easily find or know which direction to go, right? So they need someone to hold their hand through that process. Hey, let's contact Stryker directly. Hey, let's contact the regional commercial director of Mobility Works directly and see what they have in their inventory to see what we can pull out. They're not thinking about that, right? So they need someone to assist them with that. And that's what I've been here for. The beauty of it, I will say, is the weaning period, when they've gotten approved by their brokers and they are like, okay, well, day-to-day operations, I did this. Did I do this right? All right. Well, I had a driver come in and we did great. I had great feedback from my client. So what should I do for my driver? That is the heartwarming fluff that I get on my end, because I'm like, yes, we got to this point. And it's so beautiful because, again, people are leaving their jobs. People are having their plans within 6 months to leave their job, and they have brought someone on to build their business. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch be birthed. So I hope that answers your question in terms of the fun stuff, because it's fun, but you got to have a little runaround sometimes. But again, that's with any business that you're going to have.
Taya, what makes you such a great NEMT consultant is that you've actually gone through some crazy experiences and gotten some pretty extreme learnings, right? That that help you figure out, okay, anything anyone else faces, not as crazy as what I've been through. you want to pick one or two of the craziest things you've been through that makes you
That's one
be
or
that
two. That's
NEMT girl consultant?
Oh, they need more than one or two, Nirav. Wow.
I know, right? Take your
Oh,
time. Pick the juiciest thing.
okay. So I will say, actually, one thing I'm going through right now, actually, one of our vehicles in our fleet was out of commission and needed a transmission replacement. And the shop that I've been working with for almost 5 years now at this point, well, 4, because we got them after the first year. We got the van towed there. They didn't have space inside, so we dropped it right outside the gate. We've dropped vans outside of the gate plenty of times before. It's the closest, right next to the gate. There's another shop right beside that mechanic shop, and the owner of that shop owns the lot for the mechanic shop as well. They pay him rent to have the mechanic shop. Well, after 2 weeks of my van being there, he took it upon himself to sell my vehicle illegally to a car for junk place. And my mechanic called me and said, "Hey, did you come get your van?" I'm like, "Jose, why would I come get it? You didn't put a transmission in it yet. It doesn't move." He said, "Well, I'm asking you because it's not here." And I said, "Oh, wait, it's not there." And he's like, "Yeah, it's not here." And I'm like, okay. So in Georgia, because I moved here from Maryland. In Maryland, you can call 311, give them the VIN number of your vehicle. If it was towed, they will tell you who has it. If it was repoed, they tell you who has it. If it was towed by the police, they tell you who has it, right? They have to put any tow information on the vehicle in that system. Well, in Georgia, it's different. You have to report the vehicle being stolen. So I went to report the vehicle stolen. Police were doing a shift change. So I sat there for about an hour. I left. I said, I'll put the report in the next morning. Next morning comes, I go to put the report in. And Jose, he's like, they have cameras at that shop, that cafe back there. I'm going to fast forward this story some, Nirav, because it is pretty long. So I get the camera footage and I see that my van has been towed by this company called Cash for Junk Cars. I see the owner in the camera footage speaking with the tow truck driver of the company. And long story short, he made a fake bill of sale, sold the van, and they had crunched it to sell it for metal that same day that I found what happened to it. So we're going through a whole lawsuit. The guy's been arrested. He has a $4,000 bond. He's been in jail since about a month now. We go to court soon for that. So we're going to go through his business insurance because the guy on the camera, you can see he's the owner. They made fake documents. So we're going to go through the business insurance. We have a lawyer for this to get the lawsuit going. So not only did I need a new transmission, but now we're going to get a whole new van. Woohoo! So that's one thing. There's another time there was a patient that had dementia. This is something a little smaller, not as big as the Crunch vehicle. But there was a patient that had dementia and he was used to a certain route going home and to his appointment each day. And so we had multi-loaded him this particular day with another client. So we took a different route. And he called his insurance company and said that the driver was trying to kidnap him and murder him because they were going a different way. So just knowing what your patients have going on, that can help as well. Because again, no, I don't think my driver wanted to kidnap or murder him at all. Those are two. Those are just two. Again, everything is not a walk in the park, but yes.
Do your clients come to you with anything as crazy as that kind of stuff?
No, honestly, we have some really great clients. We do, but everyone's not going to be great. Okay, people are human. Okay, we're dealing with humans here, Nirav. So everyone's not going to be great. But we get some in between, far and few, that are like, okay, we're just gonna keep it moving today. Just preserve your energy and make sure they have a great experience. That's it, because you can't please everyone. So.
Wow.
Yeah. You weren't expecting that, right?
I know you live an interesting life, but wow.
That's a short version of it. Really. I like that. You live an interesting life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Woo. Woo!
Well, Taya, thank you so much for being with us.
Run, Bambi, run. You all have this, Nirav. I told you this is going to be a great year for you all. It's already written, right? It's already written.
It is. It is.